back to Horsepower Hobby. I am Torque, and in today's video, I'm going to address a few issues that I've been dealing with on this new Corvette of mine. Let's get right into it. I did purchase the Vette.
Horsepower Hobby.
So for all of you that have been watching the channel since I started, know that I have been wanting to pick up a C5 Corvette, and finally got my hands on one about maybe 3 or so weeks ago. And you can check that out in my video of me purchasing or picking up my new Corvette. Talked to the owner about, the issues that the car was having. Do keep in mind it is a used car, but the issues that it had been having were seemingly minor, and one of the issues was the headlights. One of them would pop up, the other one would as well, the majority of the time. So what I did to fix that issue is I took the old motor out and swapped the motor, and this is on the driver's side of the vehicle, with a brand new motor. So now both headlights pop up at the same time. Another issue I was having was the windshield wipers. They would kind of come on and work sporadically, and sometimes they would stick straight up in the air. Wouldn't function like they were supposed to. It almost made it seem like the car had a short or something. But I ended up fixing it by replacing the windshield, the windshield wiper motor. So that took care of that issue. So shortly after replacing the windshield wiper motors, I discovered an issue with one of the turn signals not working, the front passenger side. So I just went right on to the local auto parts store one evening and grabbed one and popped it right in. It actually went fairly smooth. Well, the next day I went to a buddy's house and picked him up and was going for a little cruise. Me and him were hanging out. We get to where we were going, and when we went to leave there, discovered another issue with the Corvette. The lights on the dash, so the interior lights and the headlights, and also the turn signal lights started flashing really fast. Didn't know at the time, but after careful research, I discovered that the really fast flashing is called Hyperflash, and didn't know that the C5 Corvettes and some of the C6s are notorious for doing what they call Hyperflash, and posed a pretty big problem, because now, like, not knowing what to do and thinking I'm really having issues with wiring and stuff like that, shorting out. So what I did was pulled apart fuse panels and tried to figure out if I had like a fuse blown, or if I had a relay going bad or something of that sort. And also, the day that I picked the Corvette up, I pulled over to install the targa top because it started raining. Of course, we had to pull the top off the first day, but in doing so, when I pulled over, I pushed the hazard button in, and let's just say it doesn't know how to come back out. So that's another issue that we have to fix later on. The issue with the hyperflashing really bothered me, because I would pull up to the store and get out of the car, nice looking car, but then turn the car off, or crank it up rather, and the lights are hyperflashing, and the car already gets some attention, and so people are looking at it, and then all of a sudden it starts the hyperflashing issue, and it's noticeable from the outside as well. So it's just kind of embarrassing. I guess if you didn't know any better, it looks kind of cool, but kind of embarrassing for me. So kind of trace that issue down, and let me tell you guys what I figured out. So I kept digging on the forums and the videos, I guess, of people talking about the different Hyperflash issues, and what I discovered was everyone that talked about it, that I found, every video that I found that they were talking about the Hyperflash issue, each one of them said that it was due to them changing out the bulbs, mainly I guess turn signal bulbs and park lamp bulbs. And what most people were doing was upgrading to I guess a LED style bulb, or maybe a HID style bulb. And when they would do so, it would create that Hyperflash issue. So when the Hyperflash issue was created, they immediately go and take that bulb back out. Well, I didn't pay it any mind because I didn't put a LED or HID style bulb in. I went back with what I thought was OEM, and so ended up just one night saying, hey, what do I have to lose? Went out and pulled the bulb out that I had just installed a couple of weeks prior. Who would have known that a OEM style bulb would also create those Hyperflash issues? Pulled the bulb out and immediately the Hyperflash issues stopped. Just in case you were wondering, I'm actually heading to a locksmith. When I got the car, also it came with one remote and a key. I had to go get extras because I would hate to be put in a position to where I have to call a locksmith out to wherever my location is to let me into the car. So I like to keep a spare on me at all times. But I'm actually pulling up there in a few seconds, and he's going to do, I guess, something to the car to get the new stuff to work. It's got to flash it on. But then right after that, I will tell you guys the solution that I found to permanently fixing the Hyperflash issue. There's good news, guys. The key fob, or the keyless entry remote, works. So we're back in business. So back on to the topic that we were discussing a few moments ago. The solution that I found to repairing the Hyperflash issue is to purchase a Hyperflash harness offline. So I have placed my order and waiting on the Hyperflash harness to arrive. Apparently you take apart the bottom of the dash, the kick panel portion underneath the steering wheel, and you, I guess, unplug, a harness that's under there. It comes with very, very specific instructions. So you unplug a harness and kind of put it in between the two, I guess, OEM harnesses. And it comes with a kind of sort of like a flasher, but it could be called a relay in this case. But that prevents the hyperflashing that we've been experiencing with the Corvette. And then you can replace each bulb with any light of your choice and should never have that hyperflash issue again. The hyperflash issue had gotten so bad that when the guy tuned the Corvette, it was taking a very, very long time to connect the ECM up with his actual computer so that he can tune it. He was just trying to pull data from it and just trying to form a connection there, and it was just like extremely, extremely slow, to the point to where he was almost considering removing the ECM and taking the ECM with him. But we were still able to get it tuned. But then right after we got it tuned, the radio and a couple of other issues happened, and to where the radio wasn't working. But we managed to get all that stuff back on board, and like I said, I don't have the hyperflash issue with the interior lights and stuff of that nature currently. Let me show you the hyperflash issue that I'm still dealing with until that harness comes in. The turn signal still hyperflash, and of course this one will, because the bulb is missing. I don't know if the camera is really focusing on it. There it is there. So once again, once we receive that harness, it should take care of all those issues. So looking forward to fixing this issue. If you haven't subscribed already, do hit that subscribe button, also like button, and push notification bell. And until next time.